Well, I was going to play the intro video then, but for some reason it doesn't want to play ball. So sorry about that. Mind you, it's probably needs upgrading now anyway. So let's not worry about that too much. There's a few bits and pieces want updating and modernising. So we'll look at that later. If that's the only thing that technical problems can throw at me, I shall be happy. Right, tonight's subject on the Wednesday Interconnect is food, not just Portuguese food, because Portuguese food, great though it is, and marvelous and wholesome, um, respectively, kind of have to say that it's quite limited unless you live on the coast where the seafood and all the delicious bits that go with it. Um, but sometimes you want a bit more, and um, tonight's program is actually going to discuss that with items about food from other countries, foreign food, and where to eat, what to eat. Maybe tell us a little bit about it. We've got some great guests with us tonight, which I'm sort of looking forward to chatting with. And also got a video to show you that I did earlier. But bless it, I mean, Portuguese food is great, wholesome, great ingredients, but it does, for me, have its limitations coming from a place where I'm used to a bit more spice and a bit more sort of depth in flavour. I mean, in Britain we have Asian food, we have Chinese food, we have Mexican food, and sometimes I do miss that. And this program is tonight is about finding that sort of outlet for your food lust. And hopefully, we can give you a few pointers to where to find that. So I've just got a few guests waiting in the wings, so I'm going to bring those on. We have our resident foodie.
Oh,
Uh,
me.
yes, that's you, our resident foodie, property expert, language expert, and
Um,
all singing, all dancing.
Man of
Benjamin,
many talents.
man of many talents. Benjamin, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I'm in Benjamin casual mode today. I've foregone the shirt. I've been working a bit in the garden, so haven't really had time to be in the office today. But really excited to be on tonight's episode because we're talking about food, and I
Yes.
love food.
Yes, I have noticed that. I have noticed that somewhat. I'm just going to bring our next guest on, a regular, the marvelous Mr. Eric J from the glorious capital of Lisbon,
Evening,
and
guys. How we doing?
I
How we doing
I
tonight?
trust I trust you well, Eric, and well watered, well fed,
Doing well, thank you.
doing well. You're doing well, Red Eric. Yeah, Eric the Red.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, and our special guest tonight. I love these people. I just so glad I met them. I'm going to bring them on. Anjum Warren, the South African contingent. How you doing, guys?
Great, Gary, great. How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're surviving. Each day it's it's a dirty old job, but somebody got to do it, and they.
Well, it's eating a bit much at times, eh? We're not
Oh
used
yeah, yeah,
Africa
yeah,
might
yeah,
be
yeah.
hard, but this is a different eat.
Yeah, but it was. You remember, just cashed back, a few weeks ago when it was raining and it was wet, and you think,
Yes.
will summer ever come? And it did, as it always does in Portugal, with furious
Yeah,
vengeance, and it kind
yeah,
of making
came
up
back
for it
with a
now.
vengeance.
Oh yes, and it's not even the hottest part of the year yet, is it?
Not
Certainly
looking
not.
forward to that.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. We'll ride that wave, so to speak. Right, just before I forget, right, and it's totally off the cuff. I'm going to show you something. Right, I'm going to try and figure out how to make me full screen here. I think that's it. Right, had a nice early jantar this evening. A bit of chicken supreme, yeah, and decided to have a rosé with it. Now there are very few wines now that actually make me go, "Wow, what is this all about? What am I actually tasting here?" And we got this one, right, which is it's a Byrada rosé. The Barga, can you see that? I don't know whether you
Yeah,
can
we
or not.
can. Bargo Rosé.
Yeah, right. This is
Yeah.
ridiculously cheap at Lidl's at the moment. It's about £2, €2 something a bottle here, which you always think, oh, it's going to be rubbish, isn't it? This one has really twisted my mind. To coin a phrase, it's twisted my melon because I can't tell what's in it. There's something in there that's really doing my head in. Um, it's kind of a real enigma because it's not dry, it's not sweet, it's fruity. it's okay, and a whole lot of other things as well. So if you're in Lidl's, buy a bottle because it's not that much, and tell me what you think. Because I quite enjoyed it because it was a very different experience to me. And there's something in there I just cannot get the flavour of, and it's driving me crazy. Maybe somebody can tell me, but that was just a bit of a sort of a an aside. So try that. I like rosés. It's not sweet. It's not dry. It's not. It's just a head doer for me. It really is. But I liked it because it made me sit and think, what have I got here? Try
Well, with
it.
it
Try it.
being from the Bairrada, and also judging by the label, you assume it has Barga on it. Barga being red skinned, white interior.
Yeah.
When you usually have a Barga in a wine, you don't get the kind of bitterness you get from the skin, especially Bairrada, because they tend to use it in spumants, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that mental connotation you would form with Barga would be the kind of sweeter white interior of the Barga grape. So
Well, that
maybe
when
that could be what you're not tasting there. Could
well,
be.
when it really does your head in is when they do a white burger. So yeah, try it. Tell me what you think.
You
It
possibly
depends if you're a rosé fan, but yeah, I liked it anyway. So anyway, back to tonight's subject, food. I mean, we all like to eat, don't we? We all like to get our teeth into something nice. And there is great stuff around here. You have your bitoks, and your yeah, what you call the bacalaos and the fish, and I know seafood on the coast is pretty much second to none here. But sometimes you do want more, don't you? You're left with that wanting, that that feeling inside where you just want a little bit of spice. And this surprises me with the Portuguese because they were really the king of the spice trade. They had all the roots, they had all the the make on the shipping and the travel of spices to the rest of the world. But it never seemed to transfer to their own food. I mean, I may be contentious in saying that. I mean, we've got piri piri, yes, but I think most people will agree that Portuguese food is quite, dare I say it, plain, but good. And I don't mind that, but sometimes you want a bit more. You want a bit more, something different. And us who have lived in other parts of the world get that kind of I need something more. I mean, do you guys ever feel like that, or is it just me?
You know what? We grew up. Look, South Africa's got a big Portuguese community. Great people, everything in it. I got a Portuguese lineage from my grandfather. And that honestly, we haven't grown up actually Portuguese in that. But my mom used to cook, and things were always lots of garlic, lots of chilies, lots of spice, lots of flavor, and everything. But I think, having said that, I think there is a big influence from Mozambique, Angola. So our Portuguese food that we grew up really was completely different when we got here. I was very surprised in the flavors and everything. I was expecting something completely different. We've never been to Portugal, so it was quite a surprise when we got here. Not saying Portuguese food is bad. I think it's great. I mean, the flavors we've tasted, I think they're great. Very healthy food, very no preservatives, things like that. Very done very well in that. It's just the idea I sort of had in my head when I got here. We were going to have piri piri chicken, and um, yeah, we used to eat a Portuguese steak in South Africa, steak, egg, and chips. It was covered with garlic, marinated in garlic and chilies and things like that. So the idea I had in my head, been completely, how can I say, it's all been completely new to me. The idea that I had in my head was something completely different. And to be honest, like you say, I did miss our flavors and that. I mean, you walk in the street in South Africa, you can tell what the neighbors are cooking. You just walk down the road,
The
if
smell.
someone, yeah, you can smell this one's brine, this one's making a curry, this one's doing this one's doing that. It's just complete aromas all over in that.
Now
So
you
it was
see,
something
you
different.
you you've led me in there to perfectly warrant to my little video that I've got here, right? Because one of the worst things about living here is a good curry. I do enjoy a good curry, and I come
Yes.
from Birmingham, which is, it's got some of the best curry places, not only in the UK, but award-winning, world-class curry restaurants. So I'm fairly well qualified to say that I know a pretty good curry when I come across one. Now, this weekend, Ben and myself and brother Terence went to see our friend in Tamar, who owns the Curry Indian House, which I would rate. I could take the Indian Curry House and put it on the Curry Mile, as they call it in Birmingham, right? And it would hold its own quite easily, right? Quite easily. So, if you're ever going to go on a visit to Tamar, go to this place because I think it's really, really well worth it. Ben, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you kind of covered all bases there. It's an incredible place, really good restaurant. They ground all their own spices, which is rare to find as well. Something I've been meaning to do for a while too. But I do think it's a really top place. And the what was it we had, the Bombay fish? Top notch, absolutely incredible.
So if ever you're down this way, I'm just going to play this video. It's about 3.5 minutes long. It's with our mate Ganesh, and I'd love anybody in this area to support him because I do not want this place to disappear because this is something special in Portugal as far as I'm concerned, and I'd really, really kind of like to have this around for quite a while. So just let me put this up and see what I can find out. I'm button pressing here, so let's go with this.
So we're at Curry Indian House for the second time now, here with our good friend Ganesh. Ganesh, how are you doing today?
How are you doing, man? Thank you.
I'm fine, thank you. Which part of India are you from, Ganesh?
I'm from Mumbai, that city. Yeah, that's
from
right.
Mumbai, okay, cool. And does that reflect in your menu at all? Is there any sort of typical Mumbai dish?
Yeah, I got 2 or 3 dishes added in the menu. Just like a Bombay fish and South Indian curries and all.
Okay, so
yeah, that's right.
How would that? So you have South Indian curries. Would that differ from kind of North Indian curries? They're a big.
Yeah, a bit different and all because of the coconut bit and the spicy bit higher.
Spicy.
Yeah, the North Indian is just like more creamy and buttery. So, but Mumbai is just like it's a seaside island. It's our food is a little bit different from all the parts of India.
Okay, so it's a bit harder. It's a bit more.
It's a city, so every corner of India, you got a mixer. You can call it some like fusion Indian food. You can get in Mumbai.
Okay, that's awesome, man. And so, if you had to point out, what do you think is your most popular item on the menu? What sells the most?
But over here, it's butter chicken.
Butter chicken. Yeah.
And one of the fish eater, they like South Indian fish curry.
Oh, really?
And one more special dish is that's called a Bombay fish.
I'll have to try that today.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've been told you have a really good vegetarian menu here as well. Would you like to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I got a lot of options out there because especially I get a lot of vegans people also. So yeah, I got so much, I think nearly 15 dishes a week, all the different dishes and all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's all vegetarian. And some of them vegans also there because without the butter and yogurts, we can make a vegan dish also. That's it.
What would you say is your best in, what would you feel most confident serving as a vegetarian?
Vegetarian, more some like proper vegetarian, there's palak paneer, that is spinach with cottage cheese. That goes very normally. And vegan option, we got all lots like chickpeas with the spinach, a mixed vegetable, the spices one. Lots of options are brinjal, then aubergine dishes are there.
Aubergine
and
as well.
okra, we got okra dish, fresh okra we buy it. Lots of fresh vegetable dishes are there.
Yeah, it's very good what you've done here. We were just saying in the car ride over as well that you struggle to find a good curry house here in Portugal. It's very difficult to find a good one. We're very lucky to have you guys so close by.
That's right, yeah. Because my aim is like, and I get all the fresh spices. I don't buy they buy some like powder one.
Yes.
So we buy the whole spice and we make.
You grind them yourself?
That's right, yeah.
That's incredible.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's something I wanted to start doing at home as well.
Oh, yeah, that's probably, you find more different.
Are you hungry yet?
Very. Oh God! It doesn't matter how many times you do it; you never quite get used to seeing yourself on camera.
You don't really. I have to do it. I have to do it every week, so
Oh God!
it's not easy, is it? And yeah, that is Ganesh. Yeah, lovely guy. A great curry house. Authentic flavors and all that. I don't think I can find a better curry house in all of Portugal, and it would, as I say, stand its own in Britain. So if you're in the area, give Ganesh a visit. You won't regret it. I mean, no, you've been there, Eric. You've had a curry there with us as well.
Yep. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times, and one of the reasons that I enjoy coming up to visit with you guys is because I know we're going to make a stop there.
You are. You got me. I like your thinking. Your connective thinking. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
I
what,
mean,
Yeah.
I know
so,
he can't be with us tonight, Ganesh, because obviously he owns a restaurant, and probably about this time he's up to his eyeballs in orders, tickets, and hungry people. So Ganesh, if you're watching this on catch up, thank you, mate. I'll see you soon for another great meal. Now we're going to move on. We're going to move on to our star guests, the South African duo, who are a find and a half for me. Really, they are pure gold. But I must first ask the bloody lekker. Does that mean something? I mean, it's Afrikaans for something.
yeah, it's basically a slang of Afrikaans slang, basically. Bloody would be, if I had to convert it, would be bloody,
Yeah,
bloody good, bloody, and lekker would be nice. So it's
bloody
blood.
nice.
But also, sort of, if you German, if you Dutch, if you Belgian, Holland, you know, they have the same sort of wording. So it sort of reaches out to a lot more than just South Africans, the name alone.
Right.
My daughter actually said when I said what we're going to name ourselves, she said bloody lekker. She says that's bloody cheeky.
So Warren and Ange, how did you sort of find your way to Portugal? Why Portugal? And of all the world, why Portugal?
Well, look, I've got lineage. I am a citizen. My grandfather, he came from Madeira. I've got to say that I can't remember meeting him. I think I was a bit too young. My mom was one of his, was his youngest daughter, and that. So we didn't have much. I think he died. He worked in the mines in South Africa, and that. So I think he died much. Either I was very young or I wasn't born yet. And saying that my mom, we didn't grow up very Portuguese. So if you had asked me 10 years ago if I'd been in Portugal, I probably would have laughed at you, you know. And then I think my aunt's the first one that actually got a citizenship, and then we applied for late birth registration and things like that.
And
And then,
Ange, as about Ange, were you like in the same area together, or did you meet on some distant romance, or what?
We actually know each other from childhood.
Oh, childhood sweethearts, how lovely.
yeah, I used to chase her around with kissing touches, and then she wouldn't let me catch her, so I threw her with stones.
That normally doesn't work very well. That normally has the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I'm getting the payback from that now.
Uh, so how long have you guys been in Portugal for?
We're now 2.5 years.
Almost 2.5.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's a very short time. We're still novices.
And kind of what are your thoughts? Having been here for over 2 years now. Good move, bad move?
Excellent move.
Yeah.
It's one of the best moves that we've done.
It's a beautiful country, beautiful people. I can say we haven't explored much, been very, very busy in that. But what we have seen, I can tell you, really, my mom used to tell us about Portugal, and we used to laugh her off. And I'm so sorry we did today. Had we listened to her, had we sort of, but I would have never have seen myself in Portugal 10 years ago, And I'm so glad we did.
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
say, it's one of the most beautiful countries to see.
when you compare it to somewhere like South Africa, which is in scale kind of massive to Portugal, you must have looked at Portugal on the map and thought, well, is there much there? It's, but as we found out, in a very small country, there's a hell of a lot. As you
Yeah.
travel around, it
And
changes so quickly.
the diversity. I mean, you got north, you got mountains and streams, and you got go down south, and you in like Mediterranean. It's just, and the beauty is from the coast inland. It's up, it's down. I think it'd take me 10 years to discover 10% of the country.
It's very true. Yeah, it's very true.
Doesn't matter where you go, everything's beautiful. Everything's just so unique. Nothing I expect. It's nothing I expected.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's kind of chew over what we know about South African food. I mean, I have limited experience of it. One of my favorites used to be babuti, which I adore. I mean, but you know, do you guys ever do that? Is that ever on your
I used to
on
make
your?
my own from scratch
Oh,
in South Africa. Yeah.
We haven't really had it, Joe. We've been too busy with boerewors and biltong, and
Sausages.
we haven't really had babuti, but it's something you should
Yeah.
make again.
if you did babuti, I'd be there every day because I just love the stuff. Yeah, it's wonderful. But you've mentioned some things there, right, which sound mysterious, exotic, and not many people will know about. I mean, Eric, as an American, I mean, you're meat lovers, but do you know anything about South African cuisine at all?
I was trying to think back as you were speaking earlier. Have I ever had something that was South African? And I would have to say, if I did, I didn't know that it was South African. So I'll put
Okay.
it like that. So, you know,
Well
yeah.
So
said.
we know. I mean, we talked about babuti there, which is it's. How can I say to anybody that's never had it? I always
Yeah, I
think
don't
of
know
it's
what
kind.
what is
It
that?
it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like a meatloaf, a very spicy sort of meatloaf with a lot more ingredients. That's the only way that I might be completely wrong.
It's got like a
Ben,
layer of egg on top of it, if I'm right, and sometimes
Yes.
people put raisins in it, and it's just
yeah.
with raisins.
No,
It's
the
really,
raisins I keep out. I don't
you
like
don't
them.
like them.
It gives it a different taste. So
Yeah, it's everyone's
I
own
love it.
preference.
I love the contrast it brings. A bit of sweet, a bit of spicy, a bit of savoury.
Yeah,
So
and they put a lot of like your sweet. They put like with a lot of spice. It sort of breaks the spice a bit.
your
And,
nutmeg and your
yeah, so it's everyone's own. I mean, I don't myself personally. I don't mind raisins.
so tell me kind of for the people who don't know, like myself and Eric, the sort of history or how South African cuisine has come together over the years, and sort of what influences make a good South African meal.
Now you see that's exactly what South African is basically influences from all over the world. I don't know what the demographics are now, but I think we had the biggest Indian community outside of India.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's still the same now. I'm speaking probably about 10 years ago or so. We had the biggest Indian community outside of India.
Wow.
So our big influence, I'd say, would be Indian. But then also, like I say, we've got the Mozambique and Angolan, their cultures. I mean, we neighbors basically. So I mean, South Africa and what used to be Lorenzo Marques. If anyone went on holiday, they went to Lorenzo Marques, which is Mozambique today. So the culture is very, very mixed. Indian, very strong Indian. Asian, yes, very strong Asian. But it's a combination because we're a very diverse country. So to sort of like pinpoint one or two, it's very unfair because we influence from all over the world. I think it's because, like, I think that before we were discovered by the Dutch, Bartholomew Diaz actually came around looking for the spice route, which he did. I mean, he stopped off in South Africa
Cape Town.
Yeah, Mossel Bay. And then he moved up to India. Yeah, so from there, before the Suez Canal and that, South Africa was a sort of a stop off and then going around the rest of the world. So we got influence from all over, I'd say. A lot of Dutch. Yeah, Afrikaans is derived from Dutch. You know, it's so we're very influenced with the Dutch, the Portuguese. I'd say even the Italian, and around the world, it's just a very diverse flavor.
Do you think that possibly the British may have brought anything to the party, or did we detract? Did we
Yes.
Of course,
Of course,
of
of
course.
course.
I mean, we were run by Britain for a while too.
Yes.
We had,
Because-
we were basically part of Britain for quite a while.
were you going to ask something there, Eric? You look
Yeah,
like you.
I was just going to ask a general question about South African cuisine. Is it heavily meat based? Is it heavily
Yes.
vegetable based? If it is meat based, what's your?
Well, put it this way. Put it this
No,
way,
we
Eric.
eat-
They eat vegetarians.
Well said. We
Okay.
carnivores. We love our meat.
Okay.
Any day in summer, you'd find someone outside throwing a piece of meat on a fire.
Right.
Any time of day, it's just. I can't remember much of a meal that we didn't have meat in it.
Yeah.
Is
To be
it
honest.
more of a beef based? Is it chicken,
Yes.
pork?
Chicken, pork.
It was mainly, look, South Africa mainly beef.
Yeah. But
And that's something I've got to say. I don't know if they got vegan cows here or if the cows are very watching their figure or something, but the meat's very different here. Our beef in South Africa is very, I wouldn't say fatty, but it's just a lot more juicier in that respect.
a lot more
Okay.
fat.
Sounds like my kind of food. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the healthiest. That's what I'm saying. I think they got very healthy cows here. I think they all run up the hill every 10 times a day or whatever. Just eat grass and, very, very healthy vegan cows in nature. So the meat is very different.
So
Wow.
would it be fair to say a lot of South African meat is not, how can I say, factory farmed? Because it's a big place. I mean, you must have a lot of open space. So maybe your cattle live a more natural life than most other places.
I would say it's probably the opposite.
Opposite, yeah.
They are
Really?
They
yeah,
eat pigs.
the big meat producers are now saying against that because I don't think it's humane what they do.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are pinned up in a small area that if you're given a lot of feed, so like I say, I would be very against it.
Okay.
But it's not really my space in that. So I wouldn't say it's healthy food that you eat, to be honest. It's just delicious. It might not be healthy, but it's delicious.
I suppose it's all down to your ingredients, really. I mean,
Yeah.
factory farming seems to be, the bottom line for most because it's cost effective. Especially in the US, you get a lot of factory farming of beef and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
all the problems that go with it, the steroids and the injections and everything. But I've got to do this now because I'm looking at this plate in front of me, and it's the samples of your biltong that you gave us, and I've been holding on to them, right? For jealous, I have had a sneaky couple of pieces, but
I have as well.
but Ben's got some up there as well, right?
I've got
And
some too.
we're gonna have a live online tasting of biltong, right? Now the trouble is,
I would have grabbed you by now.
right? I've got the spicy stuff mixed up with the plain stuff, and I don't know which is which. Now, because I've had this.
The spicy's got a pink label, and then the normal one.
No,
it
it's on a plate now. Look, it's here. I can't tell the difference.
Okay, the slices would be the normal one.
Yeah.
I would suggest take that one first if you want to taste it, because once you taste the spicy one, it's going to numb your tongue.
So there's one that's slightly darker than the other one, and I presume the darker one is the more plain one. Is that correct?
No, the spicy one is the sticks, so
Yeah.
it'll be a lot harder piece. I'll dry it out a bit longer.
And it's a
Okay.
fuller piece than the
Yeah,
Plain one.
the
Right.
sliced one will be a bit softer.
Okay, I've got you. Now at least I can identify it because I know the spicy stuff is stifled
I
spicy.
would suggest take the softer one first, the spicy one for later.
Now maybe while we do this, you can tell us about biltong, what it is, and how it's made, please, Warren.
Well, look, biltong, it's the prime cut from a beef, you know. So in South Africa, we would have silver side or something like that. Okay, and everyone does it differently. I think everyone has a different sort of recipe and whatever. Mine, I soak it a bit. I mean, I got told on the weekend that you shouldn't soak it and that. But to me, I soak mine a bit for a night or so, overnight. And then next morning, we spice it up and then we hang it. So it hangs for about, depending on weather condition, obviously. Hangs for about 4 or 5 days, depends how thick you cut it and that. And then from there, we bag it, basically.
Cut it and
Yeah,
bag it.
cut it and bag it.
So
Then
was
what
it
can you-
developed as a way of preserving meat? Is that how it was sort of originated?
Yeah, remember when the Dutch came here and that they settled basically in the coastline and, you know, Cape Town and
Yeah.
whatever. And then the Dutch moved up. That's where Afrikaans sort of originated. They moved up to Transvaal, which is now Gauteng and Northern Province and whatever. So they tracked with ox and cart all the way up. I'm speaking 700-800 k's, maybe 1,000 kilometers plus. So they used to hunt, and then obviously the only way they could preserve it was laying it in salt. You know, so that's how it basically originated. And obviously from there they added pepper and then coriander, and that's basically where biltong comes from. But to be honest, you can't watch a rugby game without having a piece of biltong and a beer with you. You know?
Absolutely. Of which actually we're going to one on Saturday. We're going to watch the Portuguese play Ireland.
Oh,
Oh,
great! Eh?
nice.
But I
I tell
don't
you,
think this biltong is not going to survive that long. So
No, it's not. It's going to be eaten before then, definitely.
So we have had the I'll call it the plain one,
Yeah.
which is deeply meaty, slightly spiced, and very Moorish. I mean, as you say, this would go great with beer, wouldn't it? Really?
yeah, it's one in one. Yeah, you know, you can't have one without the other. And the more you eat, the more you want to drink, and the more you drink, the more you want to eat. You know,
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Ben, what
Sounds
do you
good.
think? What's your thoughts?
Sounds good to me.
I've just tried the spicy one now. That's what I've got in my mouth currently. But the plain one, really love it. I think we got some boerewors from you guys as well. Do you
Yeah.
guys use the same seasoning from the boerewors in the biltong?
It's the same basic seasoning, but then we obviously add a whole bunch of different spices. So, nutmeg, allspice, yeah, salt, pepper, and then Worcestershire sauce.
Woo!
That comes from where I'm from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cuisine there then.
You were born in Worcester, weren't you, mate? That was your
I was.
hometown. Yeah, I could see.
How would
I
you
mean,
say that Worcestershire sauce?
Worcester.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, my thoughts. I mean, when you look at, I don't know, whether I can-
Worcestershire.
it doesn't. It's not the most appetizing of things,
Look, yeah.
but don't always be sort of judge something by its looks. And at the end, I kind of what would I say? If you think of jerky, I mean that you know that, Eric.
Yes.
But better, like 1,000 times better than jerky, because it's got more taste. It's not quite. I don't think it's quite as dry as jerky, but nicely seasoned. And yeah, it's just made to go with beer, really, isn't it? Beer and rugby are just made for the whole trio on this one, really. Very,
I
very
think
nice.
jerky's a different process.
Yeah.
I might be mistaken, but I think it's a complete different process that you guys do.
If I remember
It's-
correctly, jerky has curing salt in it as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, isn't it somehow heated up?
It's actually most people dry it. You know, the meat gets put on for lack of a better term, a drying rack sort of thing,
Yes.
and generally it's an enclosed unit, and it draws. What it does, the unit draws all the moisture out of the meat, so it's basically dried. So it has the flavors of the meat are very concentrated then in a small piece of meat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's heavily concentrated, and everybody that makes it with different spices, and be it hot, be it sweet, be it in between that. You know what I mean? It's all different kinds of things there.
You know, it is not that far off from Biltong, to be honest, because I mean, we also got being in South Africa, you could basically hang it in a box and it'll be fine. You know, but yeah, because of certain times of the year and that, I mean, I've spoiled some meat,
Yeah,
you know, because of the humidity and things like that. When I got here, it's completely different, the humidity and everything. So right now, I mean, we've got converted a box and we're using that to dry it out.
So now is the meat that you have there, is that ground meat or is it sliced? What is that?
It's like your corned beef or silver side that you cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, same kind of thing, like a brisket style
yeah.
meat that's
Yeah.
just sliced and then
Yeah.
dried.
So I think
Yeah.
it's pretty much the same as jerky, same process, but I think it's
Yeah.
probably the flavoring that does the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds very similar.
Well, that was the standard biltong.
Oh,
Just
you've only
before
done one?
yes, I've just done number one.
I've done both already.
Before I go to the hot stuff, I'm just going to do a few comments because they're
I've
stacking
got
up.
nothing left. I've finished mine.
I think that's kind of a statement in itself.
That speaks for itself. It's good. Oh man, I had a lot of South African friends growing up, and you know, whether it be from playing rugby or from just hanging out with them at school. And whenever I go to their house, I grew up around this sort of stuff. You know, there'd always be biltong there. There'd always be boerewors on the braai or something. You know, another thing I love is you guys mentioned like the big Indian population in South Africa. I imagine you're talking about Durban then. We had some friends from Durban who used to make bunny chow whenever I went over, and that's so good. I love it.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll come on to that in a second, right? I'm just going to before they stack up too much because we've got a lot to talk about here in South Africa. Thunder Duck here, he misses his Mexican food. I like Mexican food. Everybody else like Mexican food? Yeah, it's
I do, and
yeah.
I miss her as well.
Well, I spent most of my life in California and Texas. The Mexican food in Lisbon is okay, but it's just not the same. I think that's a fair
Agreed.
thing because you'll find that they have to temper the spices down for the Portuguese
Yes.
market. I think normally.
Yeah.
We've got our Mark saying, "Bon night, good evening, everybody." Thunderduck, a good Mexican restaurant can be judged by its homemade salsa. So judge your Mexican restaurants by its salsa, I suppose. He likes simple food. Now then, he goes further. My favourite Portuguese dish is simple grilled fish and vegetables. It's not spicy though, is it? And, of course, I always bring a bottle of jalapeno sauce.
Well
Which,
prepared.
now, do you think the Portuguese might be a bit offended about that you get your jalapeno sauce out a little bit? You might, but he never liked curry. Too many seasonings all mixed together. We have a Portuguese comment from Joel. He just said no. I don't think he's. I think this was something to do with curry and over spicy food.
Yeah.
Probably not a big fan. Lee is out there, Lee McGrady, and for Lee, you were going to talk about barbecue food, I think. So I'll leave that up there, Lee. If you want to come and join us, you can. Now then, what we're going to do, we're going to go to the spicy stuff. So let me select a piece and hold on to the table because I did have a piece before and I know what this is like. So I'd like to share this with you, Ben, but you've eaten it also. Maybe you'd like to talk while I eat.
Yeah, I definitely found the spicy one was a bit like you guys said, it's a bit tougher, it's a bit drier. I'm a fan of that though. I really like the spice. I'm trying to deduce what spice mixture you've got here just by smelling it. I mean, there's like, am I correct in saying black pepper, a bit of cumin, some coriander? Am I on the right track with that?
Okay, coriander, yes. Cumin, no. Cumin I use in my sausages. And I think Gary and Terence got it a bit mixed up. The boerewors doesn't use cumin.
Yeah.
Boerewors and biltong's pretty much the basics. It's coriander, salt, and pepper. You know, I am making. I haven't done it in a while. I'm making dry wors.
Dry
Now,
wors?
dry wors, yeah, it's a boerewors dried.
Oh, okay. That'd be interesting. I'll definitely be down to try that.
If you is it packed?
No, it's not cooked yet.
The next, I'll actually go get a piece. I can show you basically what it is. It's done. Boerewors is normally done in a 28 casing, 28, 30 casing. This is done in about a 20 mil casing, so it's a lot thinner.
Mhm.
But that's just that it dries out a bit quicker than that. You know, you don't have a lot of time. Don't hassle with the drying out process. You know.
And the
So
phone with.
it's very,
Sorry, you go. You go first. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
so it's very dry. So it's like a snap stick. It's also great with beer and great with the game. You know, it's just quick snacks. You know.
I love that sort of food. I found with like when you compare them to particularly to English sausages, we tend to fill ours with a bit of bread and a bit of different fillings. Boerewors is really it's a really meaty sausage. Am I
Yeah.
correct in saying that? You
Yeah.
guys don't do
Yeah.
any bread?
There's no binding in it. We don't put binding in our.
The only bonding we
sausages.
really get is a bit of a protein extraction. Yeah, that's just a bit of mixing up a bit.
Yeah.
That's only bonding we have. Even in my sausages, I use it's just meat and spice, meat, fat, and spice. I don't put any additives, nothing in. It's all just done. I believe that's why it was done years ago. That's why it should be done forever. you know. So nothing unnatural, no unnatural preservatives, nothing like that. Everything's done natural.
Because there's a saying that you like the sausage, but you don't need to know how it's made. So,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The only time I use a little bit of breadcrumbs is in my patties. But obviously a patty I use a little bit of breadcrumbs and it's just a sprinkle, so there's not much, it's not even 1-2%, and then a bit of egg to bind it.
right.
Otherwise it's just meat and flavor.
That's good. You kind of need it though when you make patties, otherwise they end up falling apart. If
Yeah.
you
That's what I'm saying. That's the only time I would use it, and it's just breadcrumbs. There's nothing else artificial or whatever. Breadcrumbs may be a little bit artificial, but it's still natural.
That's good.
What are you thinking, Gary?
Look, do you know, it is hot. It is hot, but it's tasty. It's tasty hot, and it's enjoyable hot. But the thing is, you don't really know how hot it is until you stop eating it, and then you
Yes.
find out.
That's the thing. You can't stop. Either you should have a beer to down, or
Yeah.
another huge amount.
You may need to mop your brow too a little bit after a little while.
No, it's like everything else you do, guys. It's really good. It's really tasty.
No, it
And
sounds good.
it's very Moorish. You know what I mean? You could keep
Eric?
eating it.
Eric, next time I see Gary or Terence or even Ben, I'm going to send you a parcel.
Hey, you never know. You might see me there. So
Well, yeah.
That'd be great.
I'm hoping to get Eric up to the beer festival at the end of
Yep.
August. Hopefully, you might be around there at that
Oh,
festival.
yes. Amigos.
Yeah. And that's when we met, wasn't it, guys?
Yes.
Amigos. I've just had another little square lit up at the bottom, so I'm going to bring Pete and Diane. And Pete is no slouch in the kitchen. I've tasted Pete's cooking. He's a very, very good cook. So
Oh,
hey,
not as good as Ben, though, definitely. But yeah,
Good.
Ben's the star cook here, I think, definitely. But there we go.
I know we've got pretty good competition. If the Biltong and the Boerewors I've tried, this is really good stuff. So
it is nice. It is nice. It is. You ever done any South African meals, Pete?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I'm spent quite a while in South Africa, and I do love South African food. I have to admit, it's awesome. But I don't think you could be a vegetarian. That's my one query. I don't think there are many kind of South African vegetarians. They eat every kind of meat there is, so it's usually really nice. There's some really
like I said, I think Gary mentioned Gary said it right. We have them for dinner.
They barbecue them, ceremoniously barbecue them and spice them.
Bryden.
Now, I found you can confirm or deny this, Warren. I found out the biltong, is mainly made of beef, But you can have it made from ostrich, so I'm told.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
You can actually have made from wild animals like your kudu,
kudu,
your wild
wildebeest.
wildebeest, your wild warthog, all of it, even giraffe. You
Wow.
can have, yes, yeah.
Yeah. See what we
Yeah,
call
you
what
can
we
shoot
call a
those-
zoo.
But a
Buffet.
different taste to the normal biltong that we make. It's a different taste.
Okay. So what I mean, out of all those ones, I mean, is beef your favorite, or is there another one that you could, out of all
No,
those ones you mentioned?
definitely,
Yeah.
kudu. Kudu would be the
Kudu.
best. Look, I'm a venison fan.
Oh
I
yes.
love ostrich.
Ostrich is lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever go to the Karoo, there's a place, Oatsworm. They are famous for ostrich, and my kids actually got sick of it. We ate
Yeah.
ostrich steak, ostrich mince, ostrich bacon.
I love ostrich. Ostrich is one of my favorite.
I love ostrich, but
meat.
they're hard to keep in Portugal. Our friend had 3 ostriches, and unfortunately enough, because they're such an unusual scent, and because everyone keeps dogs, the dogs he built, I think, what was it, a 10-foot fence, and the dogs still climbed up over, killed 2 of the ostriches. They were delicious, but on the other hand, they were. It's a shame because they're such beautiful animals as well. I love.
Yeah, shame, they are beautiful.
Yeah, their eyelashes are something else, aren't they? They've got like the best eyelashes in the animal kingdom.
Steady on now, Pete. Steady on. Do you know what? I remember when I went fishing in back in Britain, and they got a few ostrich farms there, and I climbed over the fence and headed off towards the riverbank. And do you know you get that feeling that something's watching you? And I was uncomfortable, and I thought, what? And I turned around, and literally about 2 foot behind me, there were 6 ostriches just looking at me, quizzical, thinking, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" And they must have been able to smell something in my pack, my bait or whatever, right? And they followed me all the way to the river. And I mean, they're big, aren't they? When they're fully grown, they're big creatures. And if they sort of wanted to get a bit nasty with it, they could cause some damage, obviously. But
Yeah, they kick, eh?
yeah,
So,
they,
but-
they can literally gore and debowel you with one
Yes.
kick. So they're kind of quite. Yeah, you have to be a little bit careful with them, but they're beautiful animals. They're really
they're
beautiful.
beautiful.
they taste nice too.
Exactly. Yeah, they are lovely.
I've got a piece of dry bush. I don't know if you can see it,
All right.
Okay.
but you're going to taste it when I see you again. So it's basically okay. This has been. Normally it snaps.
So what is that? Just for my information.
That's boerewors, but it's been dried. So I've got it in a thinner casing in that, just for the drying process. But it's basically boerewors. So the recipe is a little bit different as far as spices go and that. But it's basically a boerewors that's been dried, hung up and dried.
So for the guys who don't know what butterwurst is, it's kind of like a sausage.
Yes, sorry. I take it for granted. Everyone knows what boerewors is. So boerewors is the same. It's typical South African. It's something that if you don't know what a boerewors is and you're in South Africa, doesn't matter if you're there for 5 days, a week, or whatever, you will know what boerewors is because someone's going to cook it. Someone's going to. We've all just grown up with it. It's a convenient food. Normally,
you have your boerewors, you have your pap, and you have your gravy. Your gravy consists of onions, tomatoes. Sometimes people put green peppers, red peppers in, and they put it over your pap and your boerewors.
yeah, we say pap. It's actually maize meal.
Maize meal. Yeah.
But it's a lot. It's different to the maize meal we've tried.
Yeah.
But it's different because this is very fine. South African maize meal is a lot more rough, and it binds different.
Sorry, Eric.
I was just going to ask. You've been in Portugal for almost 2.5, going on 3 years. Have you found it difficult here to find the ingredients that you're looking for?
Oh, yes. So definitely, in the beginning, I mean, just for us to try and make some boerewors, we hunted around. My brother in South Africa actually found us a spice shop in Portugal. Somehow he found out we must go to this one. So originally we went to it, but it cost me an arm and a leg because it wasn't normal spice that you would basically keep on the shelf. And in the beginning, there was a lot of trial and error because, believe it or not, the spice is different. Yeah, it might be pepper, but it's
It's stronger.
a lot stronger. I've had to cut down spices, or add more spices, depending on what the flavor is, So, but in the beginning, Burgos, that's more different spices than that. Biltong was pretty easy to sort of come by. Problem was to find Worcester sauce that tasted pretty much like a South African Worcester sauce.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not Worcester sauce. There's so many brands. Yeah. I think Molo English.
Yeah, more
Some
English.
brands, but it's definitely not Worcester sauce. But I mean, that's the same with everything. I think you just got to try different brands. You'll
Right.
find something somewhere along the line that's pretty much similar. Yeah, that's what I've realized.
Do you know the story? Sorry, Ben. Do you know the story of Worcester sauce? Because
No.
where these guys used to live in Worcester, they used to have the little sauce factory, which is where Worcester sauce was actually invented. And so legend has it, they made this sauce of various different ingredients and stuff. And when they made it, it tasted awful. So they just kind of left it under the stairs for out of the way. And then one day the guy came back some months later, and it had fermented in the bottle and turned into what we now know as Worcester sauce, and it tasted wonderful. So don't always think that's
Yeah.
naff. It might change over time. Some things need aging, don't they?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
primarily fermented anchovies, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
There
and,
you go.
and there's ingredients you can get here that you can't get in England that actually go to make up Worcester sauce as well. So there's seeds and stuff from Brazil that you soak to give yourself a kind of savoury base that are really good. So you can make better Worcester sauce here, I think, than you can buy in England. So it's really down to you to kind of experiment a bit, because you can get far more ingredients, bizarrely enough, here than you can back in England in terms of the ones that they used. So yeah, it's an interesting one, definitely.
Definitely, of course, whenever you make something at home, you always make it your own. You always adjust it to your taste as well. Another thing I wanted to say as well is for finding spices, I found that in Merti Muniz in Lisbon, usually you have some pretty decent spice shops there. I mean, almost every corner will have a good spice shop.
Yeah, I get a lot of my spices from a friend of ours. He also goes around to the markets now. It's called the Chili Experience.
Oh yes, that's just down the road from us. Yeah.
Yeah, he actually imports a lot of his spices from England. Yeah. So a lot of the spices I couldn't get I actually get through Alan, basically.
There is a place in Tamar. I think it's an Asian kind of shop, and they do a load of spices and stuff. If you're interested, I can send you the link to where they are, because I know they've got a good range of stuff. So if you can't find it at the Chili Experience, you'll probably find it there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big thing for me, Gary, is you can get fresh tamarind here. In England, I couldn't find tamarind anywhere in London at all. And London's usually quite good for getting kind of fresh ingredients. But it's one of tamarind and anchovies are the two main flavours that you get from Worcester sauce. So it's really nice being able to actually get tamarind that you can soak and then kind of make your sauce from. So it's a thickening agent, but it's used loads in kind of Asian cooking. It's really nice. So.
What is tamarind? Is that the seed you're speaking about?
Tamarind is the kind of umami flavour you get in Worcester sauce. So the salt comes from the anchovies, but the umami, the kind of savoury flavour you get, predominant flavour is from soaking tamarind seeds, and the kind of juice that it gives off is used in loads of Asian cooking in general, but it's used in Worcester sauce. It's what it is.
Would you say that?
Yeah.
Would you say that's what they use in soy sauce and that?
In Worcester sauce, yeah. So in Worcester sauce, tamarind is the main one. So it's the main ingredient. It's really cool.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Definitely try it. See if you can get it in. You can get fresh tamarind in like Arshen and quite a few other little stores. So it's worth.
No, we tried a hand at making some marmite.
Oh my god! Oh.
That's a divisive source if there ever was one.
is a very,
it's
very.
amazing, isn't it? To get a yeast infection in a bottle is quite incredible. Spread on yourself.
I can tell you, it didn't come out right. We won't try again.
I can't stand mine. She really loves it. I really hate it.
Savio bought me a great big jar when he came
You might as
home.
well just brew anything at all and scrape the bottom of the barrel, ready made. That's pretty much it. So, okay.
It's so nice. Piece of toast.
Yeah. I like my mate. A bit of toast. It's a cup of coffee, a bit of toast. It's really quite nice. There's lots of savoury going on there.
Toast, marmite, and you take biltong, the shavings. So it's just the dust, the powder of the biltong. You put that on.
I can see that working. Yeah, I can see that working definitely.
That's gonna be like super meaty, isn't it? It's like a meat feast. I can go with that. I can go with that. I know I was going to ask you, right? I mean, I've heard terms like tonight with biltong and you say braai, the braai. Now, for those who don't know what a braai is, how is that different from, shall we say, a barbecue?
I always bring that since I've seen it. I can't get it out of my mind. A barbecue is a whole bunch of Barbies lined up.
I've seen the same meme, yeah.
Now, I think a braai comes with sort of the atmosphere around it. You know, you'll always be standing. Look, South Africa, the weather's great, and that. I mean, fair enough. Australia, probably the same thing. Wherever, you know. But in South Africa, around a fire, it's like the best atmosphere you're going to have. You're always going to have beers going around. You're always going to have people talking and joking. And so I think that's basically what differentiates the braai. But it's also, our meat's always marinated. Not always, but most of the times marinated. And the flavors coming off a braai. I mean, we do bread on a braai. We call it braai broekies. Broekies.
Wow.
You do like toasted cheese and whatever. You can do that also on the braai. You know, we just do everything. I mean, everything's done on the braai. You're not going to believe me. We've had a spaghetti braai.
I believe it.
No, everything's South Africa. You braai everything. You know, so it's just the atmosphere. I'd say. You know, that's why we've labeled it as a braai, you know. Yeah, family, friends, you know, it's just always a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Open fire, lots of brandy and coke as well.
No praatje, ne?
I remember from my very limited Afrikaans, one sentence I can remember is Vandag Braaiek.
Yeah. And there's a joke that used to go around. There's a comedian, South African comedian, Barry Hilton. So his thing became famous saying, "Ons gaan nou braai," which is we're gonna braai now.
But that now never comes.
Yeah, it starts off like 10 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock the next morning. The wife's asking, she's already got the meat out and whatever. He says, "Ons gaan nou braai, we're gonna braai now." You know, meantime the oaks are all outside, they're drinking beers and they're having a joy
I think I've seen that sketch, yeah, and it ends with like the guy turning around going, "Barry's getting hungry. Get the meat out the deep freeze."
That's it, exactly. Yes, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning already. Yeah.
I've got a little comment here. Anybody want to take this one and tell us what it means?
Ons gaan nou braai. That's nou gaan ons braai.
Carla.
Hi, Carla.
Hello, Carla. Welcome to the show. Your friends obviously activating people all over the place. You've painted a lovely picture there, right, of the community getting around the old braai, having a few beers, and I can see why Portugal appealed to you, because it's very similar. You know, in Portugal you have those great sort of get-togethers where people gather and they have food and drink and a little bit of music, simple things, but the things that really matter. And I can see probably why you came here. I can see that. The
difference is, they get the whole village involved, which is great. Yeah, I mean, with their festivals, and you can go down the street and that, and
I got- you go down the streets, you got the whole village, doing sardines and things. The atmosphere. I mean, it makes me a bit homesick, to be honest.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
And of
good.
course, you've got some fairly decent South African wines as well, which
Oh
aren't bad.
yeah. I've never been a wine drinker, but yeah, being in Portugal, I think your arm gets twisted a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not twisted, I've had my fair share of wine since I've been here, and I've always been put off from wines in South Africa. And I'm not saying it's bad in South Africa, but I mean a beer is always better. That's my opinion.
Well, that's the difference here. The beer is not as good as the wine, so you have to have the wine.
Yeah,
Oh,
since I'm here, believe me, I've had my fair share, and it's not bad at all. It's just that Monday morning in Knockshire,
True.
the wine's so much better quality here though for the
Yeah, yeah.
price compared to
Yeah.
I think compared to anywhere else really that I've been. Like
Yep.
even in South Africa, red wine you can't get anything near the quality for the price that you can get in
Yes.
Portugal. It's just and it makes you drink it more. It's like Gary. You know that the red wine. If you're getting red wine for like €2 or under, £2 or under in England, you may as well basically replace the Windolene that you've got in the
yeah.
with
Yeah.
it. Right? It's usually absolute dross. Right
It's
here,
it's gonna be that stuff you get chewing gum off the bottom of the table with, isn't it?
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It's usually acetate. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Warren and I mean, you've whetted everybody's appetite, and they're probably thinking, I'd like to try a bit of that. I'd
Yeah.
like to get some. So where can they find you? Where will you be? How are you discoverable? How can they get some of this decent grub down their
Oh,
neck?
yeah, we do a few markets in that. Yeah, we do a start of a market every weekend basically now. So it starts off the first Saturday. We normally in Penella. Excuse my pronunciation, but Penella. And then the next Saturday we in Villanova de Poiarish. So that's up north. It's close to Coimbra side, both Penella and Poiarish. And then the third week we in Tamar. Okay, and then the
But
third
that's on the Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fourth we now
At Amigos.
of Viaza.
And like, I mean, I meant to ask you this earlier. I mean, before you came to Portugal, what were you doing before, and how did you end up doing what you're doing now?
Oh, look, we did make a bit of boerewors.
Yeah, but that's just was for the family and
yeah, so we did do it. But problem with South Africa, I mean, you go into every shop, there's boerewors. You go every shop, there's Biltong. So if you wanted something, we just done it for sort of like family and friends and that before we came. And then I could see like a demand. And there's a lot more people now making it over the last 2 years or so. There's a lot more people doing it,
And also with the Biltong, we started because of medicine.
Oh, yes. And while we started the Biltong, also was my granddaughter. I think I mentioned it to Terence with
The diabetes.
diabetes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
obviously, Biltong, I mean, it's great for ketones.
She can eat right through, it doesn't interfere with her or anything.
Yeah, for even German and that, I mean, it's high protein. It's healthy. It's not healthy, but if anyone's on a keto diet and that, Biltong's great, and then a keto diet.
Keto, no carbs.
Yeah. Low carbs, yeah.
Yes, Biltong is great, so that we used to make it for my granddaughter and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
So
So mainly, I mean, you kind of central Portugal area that you circulate around doing the markets and stuff.
yeah.
So anybody, would you do me a favour? And when and where you sort of going to do a market, will you put that up on the Central Portugal website? So to tell, because I mean, people have got to try this stuff. They really must, because you're not really going to know until you taste what this is like. And now this leads me to the Dagwood burger, which I tried a sample of last time, and Now, I see. I don't actually eat a lot of beef. Shock horror. I don't actually eat a lot of beef, so I'm very choosy about the type of meals that I have. And when we were doing the Amigos thing, you got the Dagwood burger there, which was well, it's a mighty beast, really, isn't it? It's feed a whole family job.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Maybe you can just tell me what was on that, and what goes into that burger.
Okay, firstly, I've got to start off with our patties. Our patties are boerewors flavored. So it's got the basic spices in our, or what we put in our boerewors. So if you've tasted boerewors, our patties taste pretty similar. I wouldn't say the same.
Yeah.
Pretty similar. So that's our basic patty. And then from there, we add obviously your grilled onions.
Yeah, your onions. First, your slice of toast, your onions, your patty. And then while your patty's busy cooking, you put your cheese on so it can start melting a little bit. Then you put it on the bread. Then you close it. Then you ask which sauce they want. Then they put the sauce on what they want. Then you put your
Obviously, it's double decker.
yeah. Then you put your other your other slice of toast on that one, and then you put your sauce on, and then you put your bacon, lettuce, tomato, and your egg, and then you close it with a massage.
What if I don't want an egg? I don't want an egg on my burger.
Then
No.
then I'll give you an extra piece of cheese to go on top there.
Then you would take a smoky bacon and cheeseburger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, you need an egg on everything. If you're in Portugal, you've got to accept it.
No, not on everything.
You eat, so
I agree with you. I love egg.
Even if you have an egg,
you have
an egg, you can have another egg on top.
I like my eggs.
pleasure.
My eggs are good with eggs. Okay, and that's where we leave it right there.
And I had
eggs on top.
On millie,
the
maize meal.
The maize meal with your
Well,
gravy in it. Yeah.
you put some the relish. It was. I mean, I can't remember.
Chakalaka.
Chakalaka. That's the stuff, right? And that just finished it off. That was just like the tops. It was like the cherry on the and what was that made from? The chakalaka? What's that? Because it was nice.
Now that comes from through like the Zulu and the Xhosa community in South Africa, which basically the same thing when they were brine and that, they always had a relish.
Yeah.
So
they'll take the pop, dip it in, and eat it.
Yeah, it's basically it goes with everything. So it's your onion, tomatoes, it's green peppers, it's baked beans, and then carrots. And I say green pepper, and then your curry, a little bit of a curry and spice blend.
Pinch of herbs.
Yeah, and your different little herbs and that. It's a relish you can have. It's basically something you can keep in your fridge cold. So as you can have it on an egg if you want, Eric. It's anything. You just add it to whatever you want.
Yeah. No, that sounds fun.
So hopefully, Eric will come and try some of your.
Yeah, for sure. Would love to.
I can see he's looking hungry now. I can see there's a hungry American there.
If there's going to be meat and there's going to be beer, how bad could it be?
They go together, don't they?
Yeah.
Ben, any other questions surrounding there? Because I know you're big on South African stuff. I mean, you know far more than I. So I'm just going to give you a bit of airtime. I'm going to have a piece of this. That's why.
I love South African food. On the point of chakalaka as well, when we had the boerewors at our place, I made a little bit to go on the. That's what I made to go on the bread as well. Of course, you can see why the South African rugby team does so well if all their food has this much protein in it. You can see why the bomb squad's called the bomb squad.
No, definitely. Your main groceries would be like 3/4 meat, you know, and then maybe a bit of rice or
just small amounts.
Yeah, but it's meat. We meat eaters.
All the food you mentioned today is all the stuff that I have made for me when I go to my friend's house, and I love all of it. Chakalaka, Budvors, Biltong. What was the other thing we mentioned as well? It's completely glossed over my mind. We talked a little bit about bunny chow as well, didn't we? The bread ball and the curry.
We also make bunny chows, but it's too hot now, so the people want quick and quick meals.
Yeah,
But
so that makes
it's a very difficult seller here because you've got to
Yeah.
keep on telling the people there's no rabbit there.
Yeah, it's chicken. It's chicken or beef curry.
Yeah.
It's not.
I don't know why it's been called bunny chow, but there's no rabbits. It's chicken, beef. But it is. It's an Indian Durban, mainly from Durban.
Yeah.
It's. And if you want to taste a real curry, you got to have a Durban curry.
Yeah. You serve it in like a bread bowl, don't you? Where you hollow out a bit of bread.
Yes.
It's so good. And I remember my friend. He used to make it with his dad used to make it with mutton.
Yes.
Yeah.
He always said you can't use lamb. You have to use good, like mature mutton to make a good
Mutton,
curry.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the best bunny chow is a mutton. The original bunny chow would be a mutton bunny chow. And you can hunt around there in Durban. I think that's lost a lot of its
Appeal.
not appeal, the authenticity of it. Because everyone's sort of, we make a bunny chow, but to find a real good bunny, so one that's done properly and that, it's getting more and more difficult. It's not, when we were growing up, we go down to Durban on holiday and that.
Yeah.
You could go, there were like 10 shops that made it and they were all good,
Oh, man. It's nostalgic to think of this food. It's really nice.
Wouldn't like a wild boar fit in there somewhere with that thing you were just talking about? Instead of a mutton chow, you make wild boar or something like that.
The problem with that is the time, and the time it takes to cook, I think.
Because that you have to take a while to cook it because it's wild. It gets that wild taste in it.
What we use venison, or if we had to cook something like that, would be what we call a potjie. So now that'll be cooked in a cast iron, witch's pot basically. 3 legs. And it's a cast iron pot. If you can imagine the witches throwing the
a bit like a cauldron of some sort.
Cauldron, yes, exactly. That's the word I was actually looking for.
That's the whole day. You make your layers and then you leave it. You cook your onions in and let it cook a little bit, your garlic, and then you put your meat in, let it brown a bit, and then you layer all your veggies, your rice in it, and you put your water in and you just leave it.
And it will be a sin for you to stir that pot.
You just leave it and let it do its own thing. You add just spices and
cooking times, anything from 4 hours till ons gaan nou braai, the next morning.
Yeah, Eric, for a good boar, quite often you can cook it for 2 days. A lot of people even soak it in lemon juice just to acidify it for 3 or 4 days, and then we'll drain it again. If you had if I cooked you a proper wild boar curry, and I've got a lot of wild boar in my freezer, right? I don't think you want to eat.
I'm coming over, Pete. I'm coming over.
Gary, you've got anyway, mate. I put in 50 kilos of spuds, right? And I've just been harvesting, and I think we've got about half a ton of spuds. I can't eat them at all. So I'm going to have to give you a whole load. So I've got bloody way too many.
Well, Pete, keep the end of August open if you can, because
I'll try your wild boar curry, Pete, for sure.
You won't want to eat again for at least a week. Honestly, it lays in your stomach. It's kind of denser than a black hole, I think, is what I'd say.
Challenge accepted. Give me 2 hours and I'll have some more.
Yeah, we use in South Africa. We use the boar for making sausage. But it's sort of like a salami, but it's not a salami. It's a different process.
It's a stupid question, but couldn't you eat? Are warthogs edible? Can they also be eaten?
Yeah, that's what I'm speaking about.
Right, your warthogs are your wild boar.
Yeah. Sorry.
I must admit the giraffe one sounds interesting.
I'd like to try giraffe.
Here it comes. Maybe it's a bit of a tall order.
We
I
had
see
it
what you did
many
there.
years ago.
Even crocodile.
Yeah, crocodile is okay. I'm not
Actually, I like crocodile. I do like crocodile. It's not at all what you expect it to be.
What you
what
think
you
is?
expect. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
but
quite.
I suppose it's with everything. It depends on how it gets cooked. That
That's very true. Yeah, it's like squid here. I really hate octopus and squid. I hate in England because no one knows how to cook it. You may as well
Yeah.
just buy a rubber band and just chew on it.
Yeah, chew on that.
20 minutes, right? But here they do choco frito, which kind of sounds like chocolate chips, right? Is what I kind of keep thinking whenever I look at it. And no, it's kind of fried octopus. No, actually, it's fried squid, isn't it, Ben? I think
It's
the
squid, yeah, short with.
fried squid, but it's beautiful, really
It's a bit
nicely
like calamari, almost.
yeah, it's lovely. So it's always a surprise. It's always nice to have loads of different foods. And South Africa, I think you're kind of spoilt with just the variety of meats you have, which
meat, the red meats, and
it's incredible. But then I think everywhere in the world, I'm really looking forward. I'm going back to Asia again soon, and it's just amazing how many different flavors there are. The one thing that I miss most with Portugal is just sauce. I know it sounds awful, but there just isn't enough sauce. Everything is too dry.
Yeah.
There's always I could do so well with a nice flavour sauce.
don't you feel a bit guilty asking for some sauce or something to put on? It always makes you feel so guilty. It seems like, what are you asking? There's your food. It's done exactly right. Now, why are you not going to put a sauce on there?
That's true.
You're insulting the chef by asking for
Exactly. Yeah. I always do feel a bit guilty, but then again, I've always got some sort of either chili or piri piri or something. I'll settle for piri piri. There's nothing else,
that. Yeah.
Keep
Always
it
gotta
in your jacket pocket.
have
Come to a restaurant, like mayonnaise here, ketchup.
I don't want to get onto a story, but my father always used to go to a Tabasco sauce.
Tabasco.
You normally go to a restaurant with a half a bottle and you come back with a full bottle.
there you go.
In his pocket and
his pockets.
I must tell you here, right, while I was eating a bit of the spicy biltong, a little bit dropped on the floor, and the cat's just come in and ate it. I don't think I've ever seen a cat pant before, but she looks like she wants some more. Got to watch this. It is warm. It is quite spicy, that one, but nice, very very nice. Right, I've just looked at the time now. Normally, and I say this every week, I aim for about an hour, but I never do.
We always go over it.
I always go over it.
Ways go over it somehow.
Which I suppose is a good sign, really, because we've managed to carry the show through and talk about some interesting stuff.
And you always get good guests, Gary. That's the key.
Well, these two are exceptional. I mean, Ange and Warren I took to straight away because they're just generally nice people.
Yeah, for sure.
And
that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the rest of us that are here.
Well,
you're great, man.
So yeah,
That was a nice company.
Yeah, and there's also other stuff that we make as desserts. We make
yes, I was going to ask you about that. Desserts. We've got to talk about desserts.
we make Cook Sisters and coconut ice.
Oh.
Yeah, come on, tell us about Cook Sisters, because that's anybody.
Cook Sisters, it's like a donut that's in a platform that you sit and plate, and then it's been soaked in your syrup.
Did you take some, Gary?
Yeah.
No, I didn't have. Next time,
ice is with coconut, some condensed milk, and my own ingredient that goes in with it. But
secret, eh?
Yes.
Excellent.
She would tell you, but she'd have to shoot you.
Okay, I'll keep to the secret then. I need to live just a little bit longer. I need to do next week's show at least.
Yeah.
There's also others that we can make, but these I'll rather stick to because you don't really need to. You can keep it cool that it doesn't melt in it, like milk tart that we make there in South Africa, upside down milk tart, fridge tarts, things like it, chocolate eclairs that you get but the proper chocolate eclairs. Yeah.
I knew I liked you, Ange. I really knew why I liked you. Now you're talking in my language. So not only have we got great, food, meat, etc., we've got good desserts as well, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah.
We've got something to soothe the spice afterwards.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. I really do. So yeah, and anybody that wants to sample your stuff, I'll try and put your post up on the Central Portugal site so they know where you're going. But we know that we've got Amigos markets at the sort of the end of the month,
Yes.
haven't we?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to try and aim for at least the beer festival, the one in August, the end of August,
Yes.
which should be good because we've got all the right ingredients there. We've got good food, beer, and
Oh,
hopefully we might have our friend Mark. He might be coming over with his Malia set to teach us a bit of cultural Portuguese game of Malia, which I've played, and
what
it's
is
quite.
that?
It's like, how can I say? It's halfway between balls and
Oh, is that
we.
what when I toss the ball?
It's not a ball; it's a disc. It's like a
Yeah.
flat
Oh,
disc.
no.
It's quite heavy. It's kind of dangerous. I quite like it. It's a bit like, remember. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, like, what was it called? Darts, the lawn darts that they banned because everyone. They
Oh,
were
yeah, the
originally
massive
made
ones.
as like an ancient weapon. Like, so you throw them, to people's head, throw them up in the air and lodge them in people's skulls and stuff like that, right?
They're basically a throwing javelin.
In this case, you're throwing like quite a heavy metal disc. It's nearly a kilo, right?
Yeah,
And you're throwing
But
it
it's almost
about
like horseshoes, right?
right.
Like in the States,
about
we play
40 foot,
horseshoes.
and you've got to try and either knock stuff over or land stuff on top,
Or
right?
kill each other, or knock
Yeah,
your opponent out.
essentially. But
Hey, my kind of sport.
it's kind of dangerous, is what I like. And it involves a lot of wrist action, which means all of us since COVID should be way better at it than we were before. So I think it's quite a good game to get into, to be honest. It should be
Yeah.
quite fun.
So Pete, try and keep a space at the end of August because you'll hopefully you can come and have a try at it as well.
Maybe not the end of
That's
August, but I
fun.
will we'll definitely do it another time. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll definitely give it a try.
Yeah, there's lots to be done here, lots to be eaten, sampled, drunk, lots to talk about, and just a generally good time to be had, I think. So yeah, we're at 127, which is completely blown the target really, but that's good. So once again, I'm going to thank you all on the screen for your contributions tonight. We've had a great time. We discovered some great places to eat, some good foods, and obviously a lot of
Great
interesting
friends.
people.
No, definitely. It's been a great episode. I've really enjoyed this one.
And I've still got a little bit of food to eat, so I'm going to go and eat that. So
Next time I see you, I'll have some draw balls for you. You can
okay,
draw the draw balls.
I'll definitely give that a go. Absolutely. So thank you guys. I can't go with my outro because it's not working. So that's something I've got to do tomorrow. So thanks guys. Thanks for joining me tonight, and
Well, thanks for having
Thank
us.
you, everyone.
enjoy the rest of your week and the weekend, obviously. So take care, everybody.
Cheers.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Yeah.